Shalom, breaking news. America has bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Our lead correspondent, Malouan Yahu, has a full report.
Shalom to all of you over at Al Yehudi Network. I'm Malouan Yahu, and I'm here to bring you a special updated report on the Iran-Israeli conflict. Thank you all for checking in with us. Let's get into it. The Middle East, already a boiling pot, has plunged into unprecedented peril following a dramatic escalation. The United States, under President Trump, launched Operation Midnight Hammer, a series of precision military strikes against 3 of Iran's most critical nuclear facilities, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Once shrouded in secrecy, are now confirmed targets hit by the formidable GBU-57 bunker-busting bombs delivered by B-52 stealth U.S. bombers. President Trump hailed the operation as a spectacular military success, declaring Iran's nuclear sites completely and utterly obliterated. The full extent of the underground damage remains unconfirmed, with the UN nuclear chief noting physical craters but an inability to assess the true impact. The U.S. action, a direct intervention in the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict that began with Israeli strikes on Iran earlier this month, has ignited a firestorm of global reactions, calling it an immediate danger. The past 24 hours have seen a dangerous and direct expansion of the conflict. In a clear act of retaliation for the American bombing of its nuclear sites, Iran launched missiles today targeting U.S. military bases in Qatar and also allegedly in Iraq. Qatar condemned the attack and reported successfully intercepting the missiles with no casualties. Iran stated that the attack matched the number of bombs dropped by the U.S. and it targeted the base because it was outside of populated areas, hinting at a desire to de-escalate with the United States. Now, simultaneously, the Ain al-Assad base housing troops in western Iraq was also targeted, though Iran did not claim credit for this, suggesting that it may have been carried out by allied militias. Adding to the volatile mix, Israel has expanded its own war against Iran, striking what it called symbolic targets and government bodies in the heart of Tehran, including the gate of a prison notorious for holding political activists and the headquarters of Iran's military force. Israeli airstrikes on today also targeted roads leading to the Fordo fuel enrichment plant, aiming to disrupt access to the nuclear site. Amidst these new strikes, Israel was attacked with yet another barrage of Iranian missiles and drones. This has become a grim reality for civilians in both countries. In a significant development that could shape the immediate future, President Trump surprisingly responded to Iranian missile strikes on U.S. bases by saying there would not be any U.S. retaliation. Sources indicate that the U.S. had advance warning of these strikes, suggesting potential understanding or communication that allowed for preparedness and the avoidance of casualties. This measured response, coupled with Iran's reported intent to target unpopulated areas, potentially leaves crucial room for de-escalation and a return to diplomatic efforts. While Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth insisted that the mission was not about regime change, President Trump's social media posts painted a starkly different picture. He questioned the future of Iran's ruling theocracy, stating, "If the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change?" He then escalated further, demanding Iran's unconditional surrender. This contradictory messaging has left allies and adversaries alike grappling with Washington's true intentions. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wasted no time praising Trump's decision to attack, aligning with Israel's long-held view of Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz went further, directly blaming Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei for recent missile strikes and stating that the Israeli military has been instructed and knows that in order to achieve all of its goals, this man absolutely should not continue to exist. Tehran's response was immediate and furious. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi condemned the U.S. strikes as a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law, and a crossing of a very big red line. He declared that the time for diplomacy had passed. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard vowed regrettable responses, warning that the number, dispersion, and size of U.S. military bases in the region are not a strength, but have doubled their vulnerability. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei himself pledged to punish the Zionist enemy. Beyond direct strikes, the Iranian parliament voted to close the Strait of Hormuz, a viable global checkpoint through which 20% of the world's oil passes. This decision, pending approval by the Supreme National Security Council, sent shockwaves through the national global market, which sent global oil prices surging. Iran's axis of resistance proxy networks, including Houthi rebels in Yemen and allied militias in Iraq, also signaled their readiness, with an Iraqi militia threatening an attack on U.S. citizens if Iran's supreme leader is targeted. Even within President Trump's MAGA base, a schism emerged, with prominent figures like Tucker Carlson questioning the intervention and warning it could unravel Trump's own political base. The international community convened an emergency UN Security Council meeting at Iran's urgent request. UN Security Council General Antonio Guterres expressed grave alarm, warning of a perilous turn and the potential for catastrophic consequences. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi issued a stark warning that if the window for diplomacy closes, violence and destruction could reach unthinkable levels, and the global non-proliferation regime as we know it could crumble and fall. Russia also accused the U.S. of opening a Pandora's box. Now, as the dust settles, the region faces agonizing questions. With this audacious military gamble, will it lead to a new era of negotiations, or has it ignited a fuse that threatens to engulf the entire Middle East and perhaps the world in an even more wider, more devastating conflict? Question begs, what's next? Now, what are my expressed opinions on this? It seems like from the start, the Israelis were dug in accomplishing their goal of allegedly taking away Iran's nuclear capability. And Iran, as the right of every sovereign nation, responded to defend itself. With the unexpected nature of Iran's response and the devastation it caused in Tel Aviv and Haifa, and now spreading to Ashdod and Jerusalem, it seems as though the United States, who is the direct ally of Israel, had to get involved. The United States gets involved. The United States bombs Iran's nuclear sites and states that there shall be no future attacks from the United States. Now, it's interesting because this attack on a sovereign nation does break international law. But it almost seems like the United States is moving with the mindset of who's going to stop us and who's going to do something. It also seems like the entrance by the United States has emboldened the Israelis to go and strike harder. Ever since the United States entered itself into the conflict, now the Israelis have ramped up their bombing of Tehran, the capital city of Iran. As I look around, I see a lot of people declaring that this is the Ezekiel 38 war. I'm here to tell you, this is not the Ezekiel 38 war. In order to understand prophecy, you must understand who are the people of prophecy. You get an understanding of who are the people of prophecy, then you can effectively break down and diagnose prophecy. It seems like there are too many chiefs and not enough Indians in regards to biblical prophecy, meaning there are too many teachers and not enough willing to be studious. On another note, what I'm sensing is by Iran letting the United States know or foretelling of its retaliation, the Iranians, or this state of the Iranians, seemingly are not willing to go all the way to have themselves be fully immersed in a conflict with the Israelis and with the United States. So it seemingly feels like this is a bit of political theater, which seemingly pulls on the thought of prophecy, but really there's another thing going on, which is setting the stage for some type of worldly formation, to say that. Okay? Now, we know that in the book of Jeremiah, it states that the Most High, or Yahuwah, shall stir up the Medes. But the question begs, with the Iranians seemingly not being willing to go all the way, is this that prophecy being fulfilled? Or are many off in the actual timeline? As I asked in the first report, is this that prophecy? Or is this a conflict that has been stirred up just to die down as quickly as it's been stirred up? I guess we'll be able to tell within the next few weeks or months. But until then, I say remain steadfast in Yahuwah, Yahusha, the observance of the commands, the observance of those things that he has placed in your hand. For we know that perilous times shall come, but we know that these times come for specific people to be redeemed. So remember, it is he who endures to the end that inherits the crown of life. Let us not be so invested in worldly occurrences that when they aren't that which we expect, we are disappointed. What that runs the risk of doing is having one say that the Mashiach is never going to come. Because of constant disappointment via misdiagnosis of prophecy, we get off the way. We get off the road. We become like the Gentiles and say, is he ever going to return? I say this to the people of the book, the true people of the book, the true Yahudi. Yahuwah is good and his mercy endures forever. His mercy will continue to cover us in this time and in this hour. Let us remain faithful and let us remain steadfast. For his word is true, his covering is true, and he has not forsaken the children of Yehuda or Judah, nor has he forsaken the true children of Yasharal or Israel. Let us rejoice at these times, for these times are the times that we wait for and rejoice in, for we know that our bridegroom, Yahushua HaMashiach, draws near. Shalom, shalom. Thank you all for checking in with us here at The Expressional. I'm Malawan Yahoo. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm out.